Good evening. I was going to say afternoon. Did I say afternoon the last episode? I might have on Tuesday. I'm so used to the show being at 1 p.m. But welcome to your daily dose of salt and light with myself, Nadine Ness. I had fun preparing for this episode. It took me a little bit longer because I wanted to find clips of Blanchett too, because I heard he did an amazing job. So we're going to be covering the debate. I might have some clips from the French debate as well. I can't remember if one of them might be from the French debate. I already have a few people watching, Amanda and Jonathan, which I think they're watching from two different places. Amanda's in Edmonton. I don't know, Jonathan, are you with Amanda? You guys always have two. It's a husband and wife duo that have two accounts. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can cover as much as I can from the debate. I did some quick research, but there is something that's breaking that I didn't have in the title, but I'm going to talk about that. There was supposed to be a post-debate scrum. And for those who don't know what scrum means, is when you have all these medias just like throwing questions and stuff. And it was canceled. So I'm going to bring that up. So it was canceled at first. So 2 hours ago, they said breaking the debate commission announces post leaders debate scrums are canceled. We don't know why yet. We'll update when we do. And then she says, this means no chance for reporters to fact check the leaders, what the leaders said, or get their reaction to the debate. Reasons why taking functions normally performed by civil society groups and journalists and relegating them to state organized is a bad idea. Anyways, then she goes on to say campaign are telling Global News that the debate commission informed them scrums are canceled due to security concern. Now, okay, Jonathan and Amanda are both together. I wonder if there's like an echo if you guys are both on your screen, or maybe you're both coming just to be able to comment, each of you. But yeah, I'm curious as to why the reason is. Melanie Bennett said security concerns, and I'm going to play this video too, so just so you guys can hear it. If you don't follow Melanie Bennett already, I highly recommend you do. I'll just show her profile here. She brings a lot of awareness to what's happening in the schools. She's really done a deep dive into how the school system works in Ontario, and she brings a lot of really good information. Hi, Wayne, you're watching from Rumble. I never see comments from Rumble, so I'm glad to see that it's showing up. I am going to be meeting with the Rumble team soon. I got to get a hold of them. They did email me. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I have to email them back. It's on my list of things to do. So, but yeah, if you don't follow Melanie, but she said security concern. I'm going to play this video. Well, at least some of it. It was a left-leaning media guy was losing his mind with Ezra Levant. So let's see if we can make it bigger here. And that way you guys can hear it and see it. Oh, that's strange. Wayne says that's the only place that I show up for him. It doesn't work on YouTube? That's fine. I'll make sure to feature your comments more, because the people on YouTube can't see it. Okay, let's listen in. I won't play the whole thing because it's kind of long, but I'll scoot through, and you can see how unhinged this guy is. Here, just a sec. I gotta make it louder. Is that Keenan? Keen Bexley?
You're arguing about the Ryan Turnbull story, I believe.
Honestly, I have respect for this sort of.
No, I know. I think that's what they're arguing about, is the Ryan Turnbull story.
Your little chattering
that
class,
Kian did.
you third-party advertisers that you work for. Rebel News? Rebel News, owned by Ezra Levant, is a different company.
This is Kian Rexy. He's with Juno News. He's not even with Rebel News. This is funny.
Rexy is not a Rebel News.
I think Bexty started with Rebel News his first job, and
Can you
then
hear me okay?
I have a lavalier
Am I
mic.
enunciating properly?
Do you want to put a lavalier mic on and then I can hear you?
You have one set up? You got the levels ready
Yeah.
for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're clearly not doing any actual journalism.
Really?
Why? When
I know
you guys
this
started
guy.
gaming the rules and threatening to sue.
That's Eli. I think that's how you say it. Oh, wow. David says, so much chaos. Juno and Rebel are dropping a ton of clips right now. I wish this was a phone in show so I could rage. You can rage in the comments. You know what's funny? I'll keep playing it, but let's have some fun here. I was thinking about we used to in Saskatchewan, we used to have John Gormley, and I've talked about that. But since John Gormley left, there's a new guy, Evan Bray, that's replaced it, and he calls it himself the voice of Saskatchewan, which I don't think he is. John Gormley was, but this guy is not, and that's what I'm hearing from everyone kind of out in the community. They don't listen to Evan Bray anymore, but they would have these. You could just call in and be on the show. I think it's like 10 seconds like delayed just in case somebody starts swearing and stuff. It's radio, but they have like a producer. I don't, so I can't really do that on my show yet, but I might eventually get to that point. If I get a producer, we'll do some phone in stuff. I would love to get Conspiracy Kevin on, if you guys know who Conspiracy Kevin. But let's get some popcorn and watch this drama play out.
You didn't get your way. I assumed the rules were out the window.
No, it's right here in front of you. You follow the rules.
Oh, was that like when it was in black and white saying you should only have one reporter accredited so that everyone might have a chance to ask a question? But instead, you wanted to take, what was it,
Is this
2
guy
minute long
drunk?
questions so that Poilievre only got asked 3 questions. He usually allows 4 because things move a little bit quicker at his press conference. You guys are so
Sorry, I'm laughing because I know a lot of these
and what
people.
I really don't enjoy is that everyone else here was being respectful, following the rules, just being considerate to everyone else. And what you guys decided to do was to take advantage, threaten to sue, so that you could try to get more than everyone else. And now, nobody likes you.
The CBC and the Radio Canada had 4 questions and we had 4 questions. Why are you lying? We had the same number as the
You guys
CBC.
threatened to sue, so that you can, that's why they got the 4 questions, because the commission.
You're making that up. You're lying again.
When did the CBC get 4 questions?
Yesterday.
Yes, after they had already.
And they had the
told
same
you
in 2021,
because
same in
you threatened
2019.
to sue.
Look at media taking photos of this guy.
It's your correspondent said
Don't you have a third-party advertising truck to go take care of?
you're lying
How
again.
much have you spent on third-party advertising this election? Between Rebel News and For Canada, companies you own both of, how much money have you spent to influence this election? I'm assuming in favor of the Conservatives. How much have you spent? Like, you're a journalist, you
Rebel
must
News
be
has
honest.
spent 0.
So Rebel News Limited, you set up.
You're a liar. This is you haven't done your homework. You're making things up.
You can go to Elections Canada right now.
Sorry, I hope you guys are okay with me playing this because I just find it so insane.
Party is registered. Search Rebel News For Canada, and you will see clear as day Ezra Levant as the owner of both of those companies. He has third-party advertising trucks driving around this venue right now.
Hi, you guys know who this guy is? Was he like paid?
Registered with Elections Canada, name of applicant, Ezra Levant, mailing address,
I got a message.
Alberta,
Is it Eli that's I don't know if I'm spelling it correctly.
T5J0K4. I wonder what
He used to be with True North, and now I think he's with the Hub. I was messaging him this week.
For Canada. I wonder who they are.
Ellie. Is it Eli? Content? I don't know how to say his name.
Am I talking too loud now or should?
No, you're just.
I don't know about
you don't
He's
understand.
from the Hill. Do you guys know his name? Look at all the other media. Just like jumping on this.
Oh!
What did I miss?
Yes, the really exceptional
Here.
OK4. I wonder where that would have been. E5J OK4.
He's from the Hill Times.
Postal code.
Well, you certainly got a tiger by the tail.
Let's go check out for Canada. I wonder who they are.
So, anyways, I won't spend much more time on this, but I just find this so comical. And then after all of this debacle, they canceled the scrum. And someone said in the comment, and you make a good point. Brenda says, did Carney's people send him so he could make a quick exit? Because Carney got destroyed in the comments on I think it was the French debate, not in the comments, sorry, in the scrum after the French debate. So I think it's Rhea. I think that's her name here. I've got some videos of it. I was going to play them later on, but I'll see if I can find it here. Things are a bit out of order, I just realized. Let's play it. Mark Carney was asked a tough question. Where did it go? Oh, this one. There was a couple. Here. Here you go.
Time with True North. If you thought my friend's question was odd, you're going to love this one.
I'm glad you self-assessed that. Okay.
How many genders are there?
There, in terms of sex, there are 2. Thank you.
My follow-up question then, do you believe that women, biological women, have the right to their own spaces, their own sports, their own change rooms, their own prisons, their own homeless shelters?
I think this is Canada, and that as a general objective, yes. We work where we value all Canadians for who they are, and we'll continue to do so. Thank you very much.
So Alex Sultan with True North. If you thought my
Someone says mainstream media is blaming Rebel News for this. This is insane considering the behavior of that reporter. So Stuart Benson is his name. I'm just going to do a quick search here. I want to see the Hill Times. Where is that even? Is that a Canadian one or is that? Yeah, it is. Do you he looks like someone, he looks very similar to someone who's kind of being like creating a lot of comment. Ian, what's his last name? He's like very anti-Jew. He does post some like good stuff and truthful stuff, but he also posts a lot of narratives. David says, MSM is circling the drain and getting very desperate. David Menzies was assaulted again by the guy who had him arrested when he asked Freeland a question last year. Oh, really? Yeah, this is Canada. We are woke. He looks like a 70s, I'm going to say corn star. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Ian something? Oh, I'm having a brain fart again. I'm not a huge fan of doing this show in the evenings. It's making it a little bit harder. Like he's on TikTok, he's on Twitter. Here, let's just see if I can search him. Ian Carroll. Yes, thank you. He looks like Ian Carroll. At first I thought it was him. Okay, let's see what else I got here. There's so much to cover. I'm going to cover like the closing statement in the end. One of the guys that it shocked me a bit is
The
You
Jewish
talked about
community.
Blanchett, so I actually want to be like upfront here. I've been impressed with some of the stuff he's been saying and talking about. Not everything. I don't agree with everything he does. I'm talking about Blanchett here, but with the tariffs, he's one of the only ones who said we shouldn't be doing counter tariff. It only hurts us, which none of the other ones have said. Like they're kind of all pushing for counter tariffs. So I'll give him that. But this is also something else he's addressing. Let's see if we'll play it out here.
The Jewish community in Quebec and Canada is harassed by a very little minority of radical Islamists. And we don't do so much. The law in Canada says that somebody may invite people to be violent, to propose genocide against another people if they can be hidden behind a religious motivation. They are in agreement with that. The Jewish community in Quebec.
I wish there was a longer version of it. Yeah, Brenda says Blanchett took great shots at Mark Carney. I do have some here. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can find it here. I do have a clip of that. Here.
You claim to be very different from Mr. Trudeau. Now, the point is to show that you are any better than Mr. Trudeau. You claim to have a lot of experience in many things, and you know things. Last time we had somebody saying that they knew things, it was the senators, and they killed the law that protected supply management because they knew better than us and were elected by nobody, exactly like you are today. You say that you are a great crisis manager. Which one? I heard of nothing. As far as I know, Brexit happened, even if you were against it. You say you are a great negotiator. What have you negotiated but fiscal paradises in Bermudas or Cayman Islands? You have to prove something, and you have to reveal what you own in those companies if you want people to believe you.
And then Mr. Singh.
You claim to be very different.
And so he I wanted to find the clip, the longer clip of the other one where he's calling out like the hatred towards Jews, but I'm only seeing the 33-second one. I'm trying to find more, like the longer one here, because it kind of cuts out. And I want to preface too, for those who weren't at the last episode that I had either, I'm wearing this pin. It's a bring home the hostage pin. I'm going to explain it to you guys, and I'm going to explain it by sharing something that happened to me last week that was like, it really bothered me to my core. And I'll share it by explaining what occurred. So I'll read the tweet. I'm not Jewish. I'm not. I know some people will say, oh, I look Jewish. No, I'm Indigenous and Acadian, more Acadian than Indigenous, but that's why I look exotic. That's what my husband calls me, exotic. Not Jewish. At a conference this week in Ottawa, a kind Jewish man gave me a yellow pin. So this thing. Tonight at dinner, a waitress commented on how she liked my pin. I asked her if she was Jewish. Her response broke my heart. She said yes, quietly, with visible fear and pain in her eyes. I'm reading out this tweet, but I'm going to explain. It wasn't just that. She looked around the room to make sure no one could hear when she answered. I told her I wasn't Jewish, but I chose to wear this pin because I'm horrified by the rising hatred towards Jews I'm seeing in Canada and around the world. Her expression shifted. It looked like hope returned even for a moment. Ignoring this hatred and pretending it's not happening won't make it go away, and it's only getting worse. We need to stand up together with the Jews and send a clear message. This hatred has no place here. I'm going to keep wearing this pin, not to virtue signal, but so people like her No, they are not alone. I see you. I stand with you. And it's a photo of this pin. And because I look Jewish, because my last name is also a name that could be, it's a Jewish word that means miracle. However, my last name is not Jewish. It's Norwegian. So it explains an area that's called a Ness area. So it's like um a Frontland or something like that. Anyways, it's Norwegian. It's my husband's last name is Norwegian. My maiden name is Cormier, so which an Acadian, whatever French Acadian name. But I realized something. I was wearing it for the conference because I find there's been so much Jew hatred on the far right, and I wanted to basically show I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those that's going to be anti-Jew that believes in all of these conspiracy. I do believe in some conspiracy that have turned out to be true, but not that one. And just seeing not just the hatred online, the hatred in person, all the protests and stuff, I felt like I needed to take a stand when I was at this conference. And when he gave it to me, I'm like, wear it proudly. And not only did I have this experience with this lady, like she was so emotional talking about how bad it's been for her. And she said she has 2 kids that go to school, and she was afraid even for her kids. And her family, her story was her grandparents, they were from Ukraine, if I'm not mistaken, if that's the country she said they were from. They were Jews from Ukraine. And when all of that was happening, like just before the Holocaust, when they were starting to attack the Jews there, they could feel like there was a shift of hatred. So they actually escaped before the Holocaust. And so her family survived. Like they came to Canada way back when. And she said her whole family is feeling it again. And she's afraid of sending her kids to school. There's been schools attacked. They're seeing the hatred everywhere. And this was on April 11th. So the following day, there was a big protest in Ottawa. And yeah, they're calling for the annihilation of all Jews. Like, I'm not saying all of them, but there was some of that. And even myself, I'm not Jewish. However, some people believe I was at some point because I was defending Jews. And even I myself was getting attacked online. So I got a small glimpse of what it's like to be Jewish. And even just wearing the pin around, I'm seeing like people like give like you see the hatred in some people, but I'm going to keep wearing it. I'm going to keep wearing it on the show. Hopefully I'll remember every single episode, because I don't think it's enough for us to be quiet and just pretend it's not happening. I think we need to take a strong stance that this needs to end. And I'm not getting paid to say this. I'm not getting paid to do that. I'm standing for the Jews the same way I stood for all the unvaccinated, all the people that were treated like second-tier citizens during COVID. If anything, I understand the Jewish community a lot more because of how quick I saw society and the population dehumanize people. I never understood how that could have happened in Germany until I saw neighbors turning on neighbors, family members turning on family members. And then I got it. If we don't stand, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse till history repeats itself. But so yeah. Anyways, I don't know who I won't be reading all of the comments right away, but I wanted to explain that because people are going to see that I'm wearing this pin. If you're looking for some, they have some on Amazon. I just ordered a bunch. I got like 15 now. It's the exact same as the guy who gave it, David Cooper. That's the name of the gentleman who gave me this pin. Very, very nice man. And yeah, like after I left the restaurant, I was eating by myself because everyone was going to this burger joint. Now I'm doing carnivore, sort of. I was doing carnivore. I cheated a bit today, but and I just really wanted a steak, so I just went to the restaurant in the hotel. But I got back home and like not home, back to my hotel room, and I was just so bothered by it. Like I got a glimpse of what it's like to for her. And I called Jonathan and we were talking about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna start wearing it. And if I get hatred, it's just gonna be proof even more. Like, and I already have sort of, but it's just gonna be proof more on why we need to do something. We can't just pretend it's not happening. But yeah, and this post resonated with a lot of people. 307K views. And if you look in the comments, even in the comments, if you go look in the comments, there's a lot of really positive one, but you do see like the Jew hatred. So just if you're on Twitter, have a look. But yeah, I'm glad that Blanchett is addressing it. And because like the one in Ottawa that I was there, I could hear it when I was in my hotel because it went right in front of the street in the hotel. But there was also, I don't know if you guys saw, there was a reporter who was not a reporter, but a lady who was documenting, recording everything, and she got arrested too. Maria says, Pierre nailed it. Leave your conflict in the country you came from. Where did he say that? Was that in an interview? Was that in one of the I would love to see, I saw the video, but I didn't save it. I would love to see it. Tracy says the protests and praying and chanting is intended intimidation. And you know what's funny? Remember when I reported on the there was a conference that was happening. It was supposed to happen in Brampton, and then the city stopped it from happening. It was Caliphate conference. I don't know if you guys remember that, and I reported on it being canceled. The funny thing is, the guy who organized that conference messaged me, DM me, and like was like condemning me for reporting, saying I twisted things. I'm like, I just played you guys' very own words. I didn't twist anything. I just played what you guys have said in the past. David says, I'm still shocked that so many Canadians, too many, did not see the parallels of Nazi Germany and what was happening in Canada during COVID-19. And look, I'm not saying that it was as bad, but there were some parallels for sure. There was some dehumanization of the people. There was some dividing, trying to turn people against the people. Obviously, it didn't get to that extreme that it did during the Holocaust, but I talk to Jewish people all the time. They're like, and they warned me, like they were afraid it was going to get worse. Like they recognized it themselves. But imagine now, it's even worse now. I don't know how to say your name. Is it Genghis Tron? Maybe that's like a movie character or something. Eve had strong showing as well. Yeah, I ran out of room. I wanted to put it in there, but I ran out of room. Yeah, Maria says he said it more than once. I think the first was on that knowledge podcast. Yeah. And she's talking about Pierre and what he said about leave your conflict in your country. Okay, Mark Weber, first time viewer, nice to see you too. Okay, let's get back to the debate. But I just wanted to clarify that, and I'm going to keep bringing it up too, especially if I start noticing comments that are like attacking because of the pin. I'm going to keep wearing it because I want Jewish people to know that I'm going to stand right with them, even though I'm not Jewish myself. I'm going to stand against this dehumanization and hatred. And Blanchett did do well. Okay, let's see what else I got here. But I love that he addressed this. A lot of politicians are afraid to address it, but I love that Yves Blanchett did. Okay, let's see what else I've got here. Okay, Jagmeet kept interrupting. So let's play this video that talks about that.
What you're saying, Mr. Carney, with respect, is a total contradiction. The No New Development Law, C-69, guarantees there will not be one-stop shop because it requires the government of Canada to actually duplicate the same project.
Have no regulation.
Have one-stop shop.
Mr. Singh, we just got to let him finish his sentence. Let's just let him finish his sentence.
That is not true. In fact, Mr. Singh, the reality is we should have strong rules enforced once. We shouldn't have multiple levels of referral that it takes now 17 years to get a major project approved in this country. That is why in the last 10 years, we've had the worst economic growth in the entire G7. We cannot afford a fourth Liberal term. We need a change, and the Conservative plan for a change will include repealing the anti-pipeline law so we can get our energy to markets other than the United States.
Mr. Singh, then
what you're saying.
So Mark Webber said Singh was a fool. Yes, he was. But really, when is he not? And if you're new here and watching, I'm not a nonpartisan person. I am a conservative commentator. So I watch things. I give you a perspective of a conservative. And I give you a perspective also of a former lefty who actually voted Liberal in my lifetime, regretfully so. And I voted for Trudeau back in 2015. I talk about this. I used to be a lefty. So I'll give you perspective too, because I remember how I used to think. So I'll give you a perspective too of how lefties might think. And although I will say the current lefty has far left me. So David says Blanchett called them for what they are, the bad ones. But so there's a difference between a Muslim and an Islamist. So I do know some Muslims who don't have extreme views at all. And I do know some who have extreme views. I've met with some of them who have told me publicly that they want to bring Sharia law here in Canada. So there are different spectrums. But the thing is, if you have extremists here in Canada, organizing here in Canada, it has to be dealt with. When you have them on the streets saying threats, saying they want to annihilate all the Jews, it has to be dealt with. And there are laws to deal with it. Unfortunately, they're not doing that. Is it Genghis? Is that how you say it? Genghis? He says, it was like watching a high school socialist on the debate meet stage. Well, I think Jagmeet Singh does call himself a socialist, if I'm not mistaken. David says, I voted in 2015 for Trudeau, but I was not paying attention. I would never say I was left, but by today's standards, I was liberal. The G is hard, so Genghis. Genghis, as in Genghis. Okay, sorry. Thanks for correct. Genghis. Okay. Thanks for correcting me, guys. And that's the thing. I would consider myself a little bit more of a libertarian. I don't think government should be telling you how to live your life. Aiden says Pierre showed his human side and you felt he was speaking to you. Okay, let's see what else I got here. What I liked, he was softer, right? Like they've been trying to paint him as this like bully, this hard guy, but he seems to be a lot softer, cool, calm, and collected, which I really like. So they must have kind of talked to him about that. Another hit by Blanchett. Let's listen to this one.
What I found very troubling is that the past number of years, the Liberal government record is one where we have spent the most subsidies compared to any other country in the G7 on subsidizing oil and gas. These are highly profitable companies.
You
I
voted
think that's
for
the
it.
wrong thing to do. We fought against it again and again.
No, you voted
and then
for
the
it
Liberals have
over
continued
and
to do
again.
it. And so my question really to Mr. Carney is,
That's so funny. Look at Pierre too's reaction when he's saying it.
again and again.
No, you voted
And then
for
the
it
Liberals have continued
over-
to fight against it again and again. Highly profitable companies.
You
I
voted
think that's
for
the
it.
wrong thing to do. We fought against it again and again.
No, you voted
And then
for
the
it
Liberals have
over
continued
and
to do
again.
it.
Oh, that was funny. You know what? I'm glad Blanchett is the one who said it, not Pierre, because like, they keep like trying to paint him as a bully, but he seems like really likable here in this video. But he's laughing. You can
So
hear
my
him laughing.
question really to Mr. Carney
So good on Blanchett. It's true. He voted for it. They wouldn't have been able to do anything in the last 4 years if they didn't have the NDP voting with them. Genghis says, I thought it was a great first introduction to people that met him for the first time tonight. He's making the transition from opposition leader to leader. And that's the thing. People have to understand, as opposition leader, you have a very different role. You have to attack. That's how you hold the current government accountable. If you look at any opposition leader in past history, they very much act like Pierre has. Like, he's been a great opposition leader and just holding them to the fire. But yeah, he really comes out strong as a leader. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, this was yesterday is it yesterday at the French debate? This was the one Drea Humphrey asked Jagmeet Singh a question. So let's watch that one. She exposed something.
Hello, Mr. Singh. Drea Humphrey with
Drea.
Rebel News. Your party takes great pride in standing against hate such as white supremacy, Islamophobia, and
Sorry, I
online.
didn't get your outlet.
Drea Humphrey with Rebel News.
Okay.
Your party.
You know where I'm going to go with this, all right?
Can I speak?
Yeah, you can. I'm just going to say, you know where I'm going to go with it, though.
Wow.
Your party takes pride in standing against hate such as white
garbage.
supremacy,
It's a garbage
Islamophobia, and
man.
online hate speech. Yet you stay silent about ongoing attacks against Christians, even after conservative MP Jamil Javani's order paper question revealed that over 200 churches have been targeted by arson and vandalism since claims of remains being discovered at former residential schools swept the nation in 2021. These claims have been disproven by bands that excavated and remain unproven by those that have not. Will you condemn the rise in acts of hate against Christians today and explain what your party will do moving forward to keep Christians safe from hate in Canada?
Again, thank you, but I'm not going to respond to an organization that promotes misinformation and disinformation like Rebel News. So no, I'm not going to respond to your question.
Wow.
What she said had no misinformation in it.
So he didn't end up responding. Wow. I hadn't watched the whole thing. It just exposed him. Yeah, this Avi, kudos to Rebel News reporters Drea for masterfully exposing NDP leader Jagmeet Singh's anti-Christian and generally hateful views on national TV at the Canadian leaders debate. So this was after the French debate during the media scrum. They were supposed to have one after this debate, the one that was canceled that I told you guys about at the beginning of the show. Here's more Jagmeet Singh interrupting.
Is a total contradiction. The No New Development Law, C-69,
Is it the
guarantees
same
there
one
will
that I
not be
played
one-stop.
earlier?
Get a major project approved in this country. That is why in the entire
Liberals bought a pipeline
G7,
and
we
built a
cannot
pipeline.
afford
Oh, it is the
a
same one.
liberal term. We need a change. And
Here.
Markets other than the United
Mr.
States.
Singh, then Mr. Carney.
While these two compete about who's more pro-pipeline, I think
Mr. Singh, then Mr.
The anti-pipeline law, so we can get our energy to markets other than the United States.
Mr. Singh, then Mr. Carney.
So I think it's the same video that I played earlier. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to double up. This is another comment by Lisa. I don't know who Lisa is, but she says, why will Mark Carney not look at Poilievre? I live in Toronto. The Liberal catch and release bail policy has turned a beautiful city into a crime-ridden hellhole. Police are begging for bail reform. Liberals maintain soft on crime policies. Let's listen to that one and see what they say. And then I'll go over a bit of
we will use it to protect the charter rights of law-abiding Canadians. I'm interested in the rights of victims. Mr. Carney seems to be very interested in the rights of criminals. He says that it's dangerous for me to ensure that mass murderers stay behind bars for life. You know what's dangerous? Turning them loose on our streets. I don't think you appreciate, sir, the chaos that is unfolding in communities. In Toronto right now, the police have been forced to tell people to just let the thief steal the car. When they break into the house, just take the keys. Just let them take the keys so that you don't get hurt. People are living in terror in many of our communities precisely because of the catch and release bail law, C-75, which requires judges release the accused at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous conditions. Every single member of your Liberal caucus and your Liberal cabinet voted in favor of this bill, and they are all determined to keep it in place despite constant promises to the contrary. Mr. Carney, Canadians deserve to live in peace and security. That is the right that I'm fighting for a change.
The whole time he glimpsed one time when he's being spoken to. That's interesting. From a body language perspective. So for some of you that don't know, I'm a former police officer. I'm a trained profiler. So I read body language and stuff and profile. And it's just interesting to see his body language. Okay. Tracy Smith says Genghis Khan Mongolian emperor conquest resulted in the demise of 40 million people, according to Google. Interesting handle. Well, no, it's not Genghis Khan. It's Genghis Tron. Maria says they set up the scuffle after the debate, protecting Carney from post-debate question. You know what? That wouldn't shock me. We're going to put like the tinfoil hat on. Kenzie says T-Bull causing ruckus tonight. Do you mean Rebel? Right? Genghis says, right? The people that have been watching have known the deal since COVID, but the general population are basically just meeting him now. Mark Weber says, what a poor excuse for a politician. Is that when we're talking about Jagmeet Singh? Wow, you guys have a lot of strong feelings tonight. Hey, Kippy says, guys, Jesus was a rebel Jew that spread the message to other Jews that they can get redemption and forgiveness and don't bear the sin of 7 generations of their parents. Jewish power hates Christian. I don't agree with that. They don't want to become Christian, but I don't think they hate Christians. But I hear a lot of that kind of language by people who hate Jews. So Tracy says, so telling. I'm just wondering if we're talking about this particular video or if I'm too far behind, because it's 9:05. There's so many comments. I might have to skip some. Okay. Genghis says to Tracy, so he's clarifying, it's my take on where I think AI will take us. I thought it was mildly clever and gave it a Google. Turns out it's an awesome grindcore band from New Jersey. Check them out. So the name of his handle. Brenda says they only shut his mic off once. Big mistake. The French debate did a few times. Yeah, he kept interrupting, eh? We're talking about Jagmeet here. Maria says, I think Jaggers was running cover for the circus clown Carney. You know what? That wouldn't shock me. That actually would make sense if if that's what he was doing. I mean, he ran cover for the Trudeau government, so it wouldn't shock me. Yeah, Daniel Hurt says, not Jagmeet. Jagmeet sided with and voted for many of the bills he's claiming to be fighting against. Okay, I'm missing a lot of comments, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. I think Tracy and Genghis are having conversation. Okay, there's so many comments. Also, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share this so more people kind of get to come in and be entertained with us and have conversations with us. I like to feature a lot of the comments too, because I could pre-record this by myself, but it's not as fun. I like hearing what people have to say. Fiber Splice God says Carney the clown. Clown emoji. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I feel like I should have some popcorn while we're watching this. Okay, I've already played that Blanchett one. I don't know if I played this one, but let's see. Daniel says Northern Perspective had so many comments on the live that you couldn't even read them scrolling so fast.
No, we will use it to protect the charter rights of law-abiding Canadians. I'm interested in the rights of victims. Mr. Carney seems to be very interested in the rights of criminals. He says that it's dangerous for me to ensure that mass murderers stay behind bars for life. You know what's dangerous? Turning them loose on our streets. I don't think you appreciate, sir, the chaos that is unfolding in communities. In Toronto right now, the police have been forced to tell people to just let the thief steal the car. When they break into the house, just take the keys. Just let them take the keys so that you don't get hurt. People are living in terror in many of our communities precisely because of the catch and release bail law, C-75, which requires judges release the accused at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous conditions. Every single member of your Liberal caucus and your Liberal cabinet voted in favor of this bill, and they are all determined to keep it in place despite constant promises to the contrary. Mr. Carney, Canadians deserve to live in peace and security. That is the right that I'm fighting for a change.
Okay, there's some comments here. We've got a lefty here. Let's feature their comment. It says, I can't wait to drink all your tears when Carney wins on election night. Well, I hate to break it to you, but some people may not be that sad, especially people who want the West to separate. So, and I'm one of those that may fall in that category if the people are going to be electing Mark Carney. If he's going to try to destroy the West, we're just going to separate. So you can push for Carney if you want Western separation, and then you'll have to pay your own bills from that point on, because you won't have Alberta and Saskatchewan funding the rest of Canada. Okay, let's see. The Liberals are trying to pull the inmate votes right now. I don't think the inmates can vote when they're in prison, maybe after they leave. But I don't think they get a right to vote, do they? Let's ask, do prisoners? I don't think they do. Or maybe they do. Maybe it's just in the US that they don't. They do. Wow. All prisoners have the right to vote in federal elections. Here's how. So that was in 2002. The Supreme Court ruled that federal prisoners had a constitutional right to vote. Interesting. I know in the US they don't. There are 38,786 adults in federal. This was in 2017 to 2018, according to Statistic Canada. Interesting. That might be a good strategy, I guess, for the Liberals. But how many more people will it push towards not voting for the Liberals because they're sick and tired of the crime? That's one of the things that I hear about all the time here. Someone said too, I've got to find it back. It's just Josh says, I mean, I'm not Carney's biggest fan, but he's 100 times better than Trudeau, at least. I think he's easier to stomach, like listening to him talk than Trudeau. I think a lot of people had a hard time listening to Trudeau, although he says a little too much for my liking. But I think it's because people don't know how extreme Mark Carney is. He's way more extreme than Trudeau with his set of beliefs and what he wants for Canada. He's just been hiding it really well. I mean, remember when I did an episode where we went through his LinkedIn profile? Even they've deleted some of the stuff from his LinkedIn profile to show that he's not as extreme. So they've also hidden some of the stuff from that when he decided to run. Okay. Kenzie Kraken says, I'm a bit worried about cons using Section 33. Neither Pierre or Melissa Lantzman would say that they would not use it for anything else. Is that the notwithstanding clause? I'm just going to see. Yeah, the notwithstanding clause. I always have heard it as in notwithstanding clause. So the plan was, I think from my understanding, is they want to use it to be able to go tough on crime with like criminals and murderers and stuff. But I mean, we've had it used here in Saskatchewan with the school stuff. I think there's been two situations where it was used, but I don't know. Has there been situation that it's been used federally? Let's see. I want to open ChatGPT, but I can't because I'll just use Grok. Every time I open ChatGPT, my mic starts doing something weird. Here. As the notwithstanding clause ever been used federally? It has been used federally, though sparingly, it says. It allows Parliament or provincial legislature to override certain charter rights for up to 5 years, subject to renewal. The most notable federal use was in 1988 when Parliament passed the Canada Elections Act amendment invoking the notwithstanding clause to shield restrictions on third-party election advertising from charter challenges under the Freedom of Expression Section 2B. The Supreme Court has struck down similar limits, prompting the use of Section 33 to maintain the law temporarily. The clause was not renewed after 5 years. The law was later revised. So that was another thing that I talked about a long time ago is the Section 33 or the notwithstanding clause usually has a term of 5 years. I didn't know you could renew it. So that's good to know, especially when it comes to the school stuff in Saskatchewan. I thought it would automatically like come off by then. Another instance was in 2022 when the federal government considered invoking the clause during the Emergency Act response to the Freedom Convoy protests. While the clause was not ultimately used, its potential application was discussed to protect emergency measures from charter scrutiny, particularly regarding the freedom of assembly and expression. So it's very, very rarely been invoked. Provincially, it has many times. Saskatchewan has, Quebec has many times. I think Alberta as well. Maria says, we have a brainwash booster club member in the chat. I don't know how many comments I missed. Oh, wow, I've missed a lot. Okay, I won't be able to read them all because I think there's like 100. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. So I've skipped some. Don't don't take it personally. There's just too many. I can't cover them all. Drazen says, meet the new boss, Carney in new cabinet, same as the old boss, Trudeau in same cabinet. Fooled again. Singh showed clearly that he has no clue how to act at a debate. John Newson said that. It's true. It's true. David says you're responding to someone, but I didn't see the original comment. Sask and Alberta are organizing. You know what? I don't want to lose all hope yet. I think everything can change in the matter of an instant. So I don't want to lose hope that Carney's going to get in and Pierre's not going to get elected. I still have a little bit of hope that Canadians will see the real Mark Carney, not the one they've tried to portray him to be. Brenda says, well, I learned again today. I like to look up stuff like that because I think it's important for Canadians to be like informed on the different processes that we have in our country, that the different ways we can exercise our democratic rights. So that's one of the things that we did. We did a big town hall tour, I guess, all throughout Saskatchewan. We had, I think, 18 town halls, and we did democratic education. So if you're not happy with the way your country's being governed, or province or city or rural community, there are different ways you can get involved to influence change. So that's kind of what we taught people. And if you look at also, like, for example, in Ontario right now, there's a lot of people not happy with Doug Ford, and they don't necessarily want to elect another party or chance the Liberals or the NDP, whoever it was, Kathleen. What was she? Was it Liberal? Was she NDP? I think it was Liberal. They don't want to chance them getting in, but they don't necessarily like Doug Ford. I did a big thread where I went and looked at their party constitution. What are different ways you can remove a leader and elect a new one? And I posted about it. If you're one of those people that are curious, I posted about it. It would have been back in here. I'm going to bring it up on the screen that I can share with you guys. This would have been back in February when Doug Ford was saying, let's cut off the power. I'm like, oh, great. Somebody get him, take his mic away. He's causing damage, more retaliatory tariffs from I just felt like the US is going to get even worse with their tariffs. Where is it? Here. Let's look it up. It says, hey, Ontario, if you're looking to replace Doug Ford, this attached thread goes through the different ways possible based on the party's constitution. People need to be willing to try. So, and then I kind of go through, if you click on the links, it'll show you the here's a link to that constitution, the party constitution. But here I took screenshots of everything. So first option was a leadership review after an election. This part is boring, guys, but I'm going to explain it to you guys anyways, because I think it's good information. Each party will have a different constitution. So depending on your province and which one you want to do this, it might be different. Like in Ontario, it's one of the worst, as in the hardest to replace your leader. In Saskatchewan, super easy. In Alberta, super easy. But in Ontario, it's a lot harder. So basically, after an election, if they lost, there's usually a leadership review, but they didn't lose. So there wouldn't be a leadership review for this one because they won. In other parties, there usually is a leadership review at the AGM, like Saskatchewan does, Alberta does. Second option is to force a leadership race through general or special annual general meeting. And then this one is the one a little bit more complicated. You need to have a petition done. You need a certain amount of ridings. So how it's explained, you need at least 1/3 of the riding association via general membership vote in each association to sign a petition demanding one. So for example, I did a general, if you have 130,000 members in the party in 124 ridings, you would need to get the majority of registered members to sign at minimum in 41 ridings. So it amounts to about 43,000 party members to sign this petition. Then there would be a leadership review, or would force a leadership race. So you could elect a new party. I think that's way more effective than starting a new party and hoping the general public will then jump onto a new party. I'm not saying that's not possible. There are times in history where that has happened. You saw that in BC, a new party gained so much momentum and ended up almost winning the BC election. So, but what I've learned over the years, I guess with my experience here in Saskatchewan and us trying to influence change in Saskatchewan, it's way easier to work within the government you currently have. And that might not be a conservative government. That might be a liberal government. Like you might have a province where it's either liberal or NDP. I'm not saying that that's the case, but if it became to that, you could potentially do this in the Liberal Party as well. But you have to kind of sign to that you agree with the party's policy or whatever vision, which I wouldn't be able to do. So Maria says, oh, look, another Booster Club member. I missed it. I skipped all the way. It's no, it's good if they come on and comment, because I think in the YouTube algorithm, if you have people who lead different ways watching, it actually helps the algorithm for YouTube and gets the video in front of way more people. So comment away. Okay, let's see what else I got here for videos. I'm going to do the closing remarks for Mark Carney. And then I'll do the ones for Pierre Poilievre. Oh, wait, I have another video here. It's only 11 seconds. I'll do that one first. I just realized I didn't play this one.
That are still in your ministry.
To the
fellow Canadians,
crisis which
the last 10 years has been about the Liberals. The next 10 years should be about you.
And that's time.
That are still.
Okay, let's see what else I got here. The closing remarks. I gotta find the one for Carney. Here you go. So I titled this.
Facing the biggest crisis.
I gotta bring it up. I titled this, Pierre sells hope, Mark Carney sells fear. Let's see.
We are facing the biggest crisis of our lifetimes. Donald Trump is trying to fundamentally change the world economy, the trading system. But really what he's trying to do to Canada, he's trying to break us so the US can own us. They want our land, they want our resources, they want our water, They want our country. We're all going to stand up against Donald Trump. I'm ready. I've managed crises over the years. I've built strong economies. We will fight back with counter tariffs. We will protect our workers, those businesses, and we will build the strongest economy. We will build Canada strong. I'm asking for your support, the honor of doing so. Thank you. We are facing the...
So he was all about fear the US. And that's the thing. The Liberal Party is very well knowledge in pushing fear on the population to manipulate the population. We saw this during COVID. This was what they did the last election. Push fear, 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 divide, divide, divide Canadians. Now it's push fear, 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 divide Canadians and Americans. And he had an opportunity to push hope here, and all he did was push fear. Now let's look at the contrast with Pierre Poilievre in his closing remarks. I'll just gotta find it here. Here it is. Nope. It got put out of order, or maybe I ended up closing it. This is when it would be nice if I had a producer. It's not that one. Is it the last one? No. Okay, here it is. I had it way out of order.
Canadian promise that anyone who worked hard could do anything in Canada. Could someone start where I began and get to this stage? I was born to a single mother and adopted by school teachers who raised me to believe in the incredible Canadian promise that anyone who worked hard could do anything. That promise feels broken today. Many of you worried about paying your bills, feeding your families, or ever even owning a home. You're worried your kids are in danger. But I'm here to say it doesn't have to be this way. With change, we can restore the Canadian promise so that hard work gets you a beautiful house on a safe street under a proud flag. We can do it with hope for a change. Only in Canada.
So not to, for one, that was a fantastic closing. And in the marketing sense and the psychological sense, hope is definitely usually what in political world, when you can promote hope in your campaign, that's often will be the winning campaign. Most of the time. It was why Obama won so clearly. His entire message was of hope. It's same thing with Donald Trump. He did the exact same thing. But I'm just going to say, I'm trying to find, I had done a post a while back basically criticizing the Conservative Party and Pierre's team for, I just got to find it on my profile. For some reason on the web browser, it's a lot harder to look for it. So I'm just going to search on my phone and get the exact words, and then I'll search that message of, and then I'll bring it on the screen. Where is it? Okay. Here, I'll search this and then it should come. And I want to show you guys because it's a good thing I had a little bit of a carbon tax. I wonder if I do at Nadine Genius, if that brings it up. I wish I could search my own profile on there. That's kind of annoying me a little bit. Oh, wow. There's so many comments I'm missing. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it from my phone because I can't bring it up on the screen. So this was January 28th. I said, hey, and I tagged Pierre, Poilievre and team. The carbon tax election slogan needs replacing. It does not capture the real desperate state we are in. This election is about so much more than just getting rid of the carbon tax. This election is about being able to afford food. This election is about our kids having a future where they can thrive. This election is about feeling safe in our own homes and out and about. This election is about getting immigration under control. This election is about encouraging businesses to establish themselves in Canada and not leave. This election is about people being able to find jobs. This election is about having a leader who can go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump. This election is about getting Canadians to want to remain Canadians. This election is about bringing unity among the provinces. This election is about ending this scandal-ridden, corrupt reign and bringing in an accountable and transparent government. This election is about bringing back common sense. This election is about Canadians to thrive, about getting Canadians to thrive again. We need a message of hope that encompasses all of this, and carbon tax election doesn't quite cut it. You need a slogan that reminds voters on election night why they should vote for you instead of the alternative. Anyways, it resonated with a lot of people. It had 1K retweets, tons of comments. Oh, wow, there's a lot of conversations happening. Okay, I'm not going to be able to cover all of them. I'm just going to scroll back a little bit. Will says, "Will do, David. Again, your side has been peddling fear-mongering Trump style for the last 10 years." I don't know what you're talking about. Can you give us an example? Like, which page? I feel like I need an apple right now. Show me the page. This is like the classic. Like, I wonder if Will is the reporter that was saying the same thing. Don't you think you're taking a page out of Donald Trump's book? And Pierre's like, which page? Which page? Show us exactly what you mean. Give us an example, and then we'll be able to talk. Renee says CBC staff are shitting themselves knowing they will have to work for a living if PP gets elected. David says Obama was the one that started the unrest in the US, reignited racism. He hated America, and so did Mike. Oh, I'm not going to go there. I don't know. Kevin, are you talking about me? I don't have fetal alcohol syndrome. It's funny though. I used to be a lefty. If you're a left-leaning, I used to be left-leaning too. And then I realized I was completely fooled and brainwashed by the mainstream narrative when I started actually looking into things for myself and not just blindly believing everything the government and media tells you. When I started looking at everything for myself, I realized, oh my gosh, they're lying to us. And Trump was one of the examples, like some of the stuff that they were saying that Trump was saying or saying about him. And I used to have TDS, like I've talked about this. I had Trump derangement syndrome. I absolutely hated the guy. I don't think he's a saint, and I still don't think he's a saint, but I don't hate him like I used to. And it's funny because before Trump ran for president, he was like loved by all of the left. They absolutely loved him. Okay, so the example Will gave, my rally is huge, biggest ever seen. Sounds so familiar. Okay, but where's the fear thing? Because you said fear mongering Trump style. What about that is fear mongering? There's like thousands and thousands of people showing up at his rally. And you got to understand, in the political world, most people don't show up to a political event. So if you have massive numbers showing up there, it's people who are finally said, I've had enough. I'm willing to go to a political event, which that would not have happened like in the past, not that size. You did see like momentum build during the reform years with like was it Preston Manning? I don't know what you're talking about. Who's appealing to racist losers? Okay. There's so many comments. I'm going to skip a few. The apple was intimidating, not how I saw it. Oh, they're saying the apple. Oh, I know the backstory for the apple, which a lot of people don't. So when so Pierre's team always records every interview they do in case mainstream media kind of twists it and doesn't report it accurately or cuts, or so they've always recorded, so they'll always have someone audio video record the interviews he does in case it gets twisted, so they can kind of counter back the narrative. Now, this interview that Pierre had with this reporter was for a news article. So it wasn't even like supposed to be like video or audio. It was just for a news article. So his team was recording it. Now, when he's being interviewed, he's eating the apple because it's just like a news article. So it's not like video or audio. Nobody would see him eating an apple because it's supposed to be like on paper in a news article, not video or anything. So I don't think it was like an intimidation thing. He just is visiting this apple orchard, is eating some of the apples. This reporter comes and asks him a question, and he takes the question, but he's still eating the apple. It's not an intimidation thing. It was supposed to be like a regular article. However, his team was recording it, as they do with all interviews, and they're watching this and they're like, this is like a classic picture perfect of what media does. They'll push a narrative in their question. So they'll ask a question, but they'll paint like this whole narrative that they want the reader or the listener or the viewer to believe. And I'm not saying the right doesn't do this either. Like you saw that a little bit too with some of the questions. So I'm not saying that they don't, but in this particular instant, it's so like insane and radical, the narrative that the guy is trying to paint, that it makes this video like comical, like a perfect picture of what happens with mainstream media. It's obviously like exaggerated because the guy is like to an extreme, but it shows like a picture of what the mainstream media has been doing for years. So he wasn't eating the apple to try to influence or demean or bully this reporter. It was supposed to be a written article. Yeah, David says, Will gives no facts, just sound bites and headlines from mainstream media. And you know what? I feel for Will, because that used to be me. That I used to believe the same thing Will did, because I just would grab these things that I would hear on the news and not actually look for myself. And then I would repeat the same thing like Will does. And it's clear he hasn't like actually dug into it a little bit. He's just like repeating what the mainstream media is saying. So I want to hear the examples he's using or from the narrative, so I can actually like bring it up on the screen and show him like, hey, you're not getting the full story. You're getting like a narrative shoved down your throat, but you can actually enlighten yourself and learn the truth about what they're saying and spreading. David Carr says Carney asked a stupid losing question on security clearance from PP. Carney is not as smart as his resume. Oh, I want to see the video of that. Do you guys have any video of that? Because I would love to see his response. I didn't save it as one of my. I was going to cover a few of the American stuff, but we've had so much great comments that we're kind of going through a lot of the comments. I'm going to see if I can find it here. Poilievre on. And also, if you notice like that sometimes I mispronounce some stuff. English is my second language. So my first language is French. But even now though, I've been like living in like English territory. There's not a lot of French speaking people in Saskatchewan. There are some from the Francescois community, but most of them are all English. I don't speak French very often. I was in Ottawa though last week and got to speak French with a bunch of people that I met from Quebec. So that was fun. Poilievre on security clearance debate. Let's see if that comes up. Ooh, yes, it did. Okay. It's 2 minutes long. Let's watch it.
3 weeks. Our top secret security clearance. I got mine within 3 weeks. It wasn't hard, but I felt it was important that I had it so I could be in a position to be informed about that dangerous world and take decisions at. And Mr. Poilievre, it is now 950 days, if my numbers are right, since you've had the opportunity to get your top secret security clearance, and you've refused. Why?
Well, first of all, I have got my security clearance when I was a minister. I got top secret clearance at the time, so there's no problem getting that. But when the government made this recent offer, they said that if I got the security clearance briefings, that I would be gagged under the security law, and I could be prosecuted if I spoke freely about matters of foreign interference. Now, given that Canada has experienced Chinese interference by Beijing, the government of China, in 2 consecutive elections, I needed to do my job to speak freely without fear of prosecution. And that was not something I would be allowed to do. Even Thomas Mulcair, the former leader of the NDP, said that when he was the leader of the opposition, he never would have accepted the kind of gag order that your government and Mr. Trudeau's government was attempting to impose on me. And it's good that I made that decision because it has allowed me to speak freely about things like the case where one of your candidates, sir, actually said that he wanted to send a political opponent to China under a
That was a
bounty
mistake from
threatening
Carney.
his life or imprisonment, and you refused to get rid of him. Now, it might have something to do with the fact that you went to China not long ago to get a $250 million loan for your company. But the reality is you refused to stand up for a Canadian who was being threatened by a foreign government. And I was able to speak freely on that matter because I refused the gag order that the Liberal government attempted to impose on me.
Well,
Wow. That was a interesting question for one. I think that was a mistake on Carney's part because then they've been pushing this narrative that Pierre can't get a security clearance. He's had one in the past. He's been a minister in the past. He would have had one then. He's not getting one for this because if he gets it and gets all this information, he can't speak to it. And what happened with that MP, what's his name? Chang? I think it's Chang. He wouldn't have been able to talk about it. So he just got an opportunity to explain that to all of Canadians who may have been led to believe that it's because he can't pass a security clearance. I'm going to address a comment by Will. Examples tonight. Okay, you can't feel safe in your home. Well, I'm going to give you a lived experience. I live in a rural community where police, because of a lot of cuts and stuff and the lack of people applying, police in my area sometimes is as far as an hour and a half away. So if I call police and I'm getting a break and enter, sometimes because of the mergers of detachments and stuff, they might be an hour and a half away. Sometimes they're closer, but the majority of the time, the detachment's about at least 45 minutes away, but they have an area on the other side. So an hour and a half away if I call police. Now, I will give you my own lived experience. We had a break-in to our house here back in 2020. Was it 2021? It was we were still finishing building the house and we were about to move in. Everything was locked up and we had a break-in and the perpetrator was still inside the house when I arrived in the morning. Thankfully, police were far away, but thankfully I had neighbors that I called when it occurred and they all came. That he ended up getting arrested, getting charged, convicted, all of that. We've had 4 other instances where we've had people come onto our yard, snoop around our house. We have security cameras. We have since gotten 2 big dogs, a German Shepherd and a Border Collie, so that we don't have break-ins. This is not something I was worried about 15, 20 years ago. I wasn't worried about that at all. I wasn't worried about somebody breaking into my house. I didn't feel like I needed to have security cameras all over my house. I do now. So yeah, I don't feel safe in my own home. The amount of crime and how much it's gone up has gotten completely insane. And even if you just go to the city of Saskatoon now, I avoid the Midtown Mall, which I used to love going. I avoid it now because it's so insane. The amount of people who are on drugs, who are high, who are shoplifting. Right. The last time I was there, I witnessed 3 shoplifting incident where security is like screaming match with somebody there and fighting back and forth with someone. So the crime has gone up. Like these are statistically provable facts. But if you want to keep having like your head in the sand, you just go right ahead. He says definitely look like the do your own research type, as in like looking things up instead of blindly believing everything is like a bad thing. That's a bad thing to them. No, I'm just gonna like be an NPC and just follow along whatever everything the government says, everything mainstream media says. No, thank you. I will look things up for myself. I will research things. When I hear somebody says something on mainstream media about a politician, I will actually go look to see what he said, not what they say that he said. Who's Roy Rock Lucky 47? David, I don't know. Noel says, I am Black and I am voting for the cons. The people calling us racist are racist. And that was one of the things too, when I used to be liberal. The left, like a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to vote left because that's the not racist party. And like this is like something like the left pushes, like always calls the right way racist. But if you look at the policies that are enacted, the ones that harm people, visible minorities the most are actually left-leaning policies. So for example, and they're actually the policies that have like a racist mindset built into it. So for example, saying that you can't do voter ID in the US because Black people don't know how to get a license, don't know how to, they're not good with computers. Like this is things that the left actually says to support their policies. Like, just think for a second. You're thinking that somebody, because of their skin color, they're less likely to be capable to go get a license. They're not capable of having internet or capable of having a computer, like, or that they can't get into schools So we need to lower the standards for them to be able to get into school because they're less capable than us. Like that mindset is actually like a racist mindset. So if you look, and that's one of the things, like I used to think, oh, the left is the not racist party. But when you look at like their mindset, it actually is the definition of racism. If you think somebody, because of their skin color, is less capable than someone who's, let's say, white, that is a racist mindset. You think they're less capable. And just go ahead, call me racist too. Might as well. Although I'm some white, I'm also indigenous. Blame Trump does not lift you up. I don't know if he's responding. Nell says, cons are the best people I have ever met. Okay. Brenda's going to bed. Yeah, I was hoping to keep this at 1:30, so I'll probably end it soon here. Woke media always tries to bait the opposition with trying to get them to agree with them. Pierre wasn't falling for it. I missed some of the conversation. Wow, there's so many comments. I can't keep up tonight. Will says, "Oh, I love his comments. It just shows like how stuck in the brainwashing he still is. The right invented bias media. Fox News and Rebel News exist solely to feed on the brain rot you people push." Brain rot. Yeah, because the mainstream media is totally not biased, right? Even like I remember when I was a lefty, I used to hate Harper. And it's because the media just painted him constantly as this cold, heartless, not caring, like just void human being. And I believed it. And now that I look back at I actually went and looked back at some of the reporting, and I'm like, wow, was I ever brainwashed? Genghis Tron says, "What do you mean, you people? Cancel Will, cancel him." Yeah. Semes says, Carney won. Stupidest question of the night. No. Brock asked, did you guys watch the Knowledge Project podcast with PP? It was actually really good. I watched clips of it. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I was planning. A friend of mine sent it to me and said to watch the whole thing. Good point, David. David Edwards says, question for the liberal ideologues. If Poilievre is running on fear, then why is Carney copying Poilievre's platform? That's so funny. It's so true. Check Northern Perspective. They have a clip of it. A clip of what? Sorry, there's so many comments I can't keep up. I'll see. Maybe I'll bring it up. Actually, I'll do it next show. So for the regulars who watch, usually I would do my show at 1. We don't have childcare for the next 6 weeks. So I think I found like a daycare for my son to go to like 1 day a week. So, but because we don't have childcare during the day now, he was at home with me, but we had a nanny for a bit, and she's coming back in 6 weeks. She's gone home on vacation for the next 6 weeks. So because of that, I moved my show in the evenings because then my husband can be with the kids. So I have 4 kids, but I have two little ones. One goes to school part-time, like kindergarten, but the other one's at home with me all the time. And so I can't leave him alone. Even if he was napping, I could when he's napping, but I never know when that's going to be. It's not at a set time. He's just not one of those kinds of sleepers. So because of that, I move the show to the evenings. So I'll be doing, once my nanny gets back in 6 weeks from now, or I guess it's 5 weeks now, we're 1 week in, then I'll probably move it back to daytime. So we'll see. I kind of like this whole evening thing because then I get all day. I can like work on the house. I'm finishing construction on the house versus like when it's midday. By the time I'm done, I have to go pick up my son. I don't really get much work done on the house. I'm finishing it. So, and I have some cabinet doors to build. Oh, I'm missing so many comments. I've got to make the screen bigger. Give me a second so that I can kind of see a lot more because some of you are talking to each other. And yeah, and even the lefty will feel free to like and subscribe because when it's people with different opinions, it actually helps like push my show onto other other platform. Nadine must be over the target with all the trolls. You know what? No, I love it. Let them come on the show. Like I said, it helps the algorithm. Sean Nielsen says they should have muted Singh's mic, kept interrupting all the time. So disrespectful to the others, but also viewers. Speaking of Singh and interrupting, I'm going to show you guys something. It was shared with me in a group chat, but I'm going to see if I can bring it up. It's the, no, it was on Facebook actually. Let's see if I can bring up Facebook. It's the projection for Singh's seat. Let's see. Yeah, here you go. Jagmeet Singh's seat. Oh, okay. I'm going to see how I share that screen here. Might have to. There you go. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Sort of. Let's make it bigger. There you go. So that's Jagmeet Singh's seat riding, Burnaby Central. So Jagmeet's probably going to lose his seat. That's why he's interrupting. Nepean is showing 57% liberal, 34% conservative. I can't remember the girl's name. Is it Bale? What's her first name? The one that's running against Mark Carney. I'm having a brain fart right now. This is Pierre Poilievre's seat. So 95% chance he's going to win. I think that one's Elizabeth May. So that one might go conservative. That's if you like believe in the polls. I see, and I had remember a few months ago, I think it's a month ago, maybe not 2 months. I had Mark Mitchell with Rasmussen report. So he's a pollster in the US. He was the only one that was accurate about Trump and the election. And he said there is ways of manipulating the data and manipulating the polls. And he said when all of the polling was showing like the wave when Kamala started getting like a wave and so much momentum and then eventually dwindled down before the election, he says his polling was always constant and it never showed a wave. So he couldn't understand why they were showing so much momentum for Kamala when his was constant. Okay, you guys are answering to each other. If like I said before, my husband and I we want Poilievre to win for sure, because then there's a chance at kind of uniting Canada. But if Mark Carney, my husband's probably a lot more separatist than me. If Mark Carney wins, you'll see the momentum for separation with Alberta, Saskatchewan go way up. Also, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a poll that came out, I think it was by Angus Reid last week when I was in Ottawa. A poll came out. Saskatchewan was rated higher for separation than Alberta was. No, I don't know if you're usually on this show. I don't recognize your name. But this is 9:55. Oh, I'm really behind in the comments, like 10 minutes behind. Um, oh, David, you're answering to someone about driving and black people. Oh, maybe when I said like how the left thinks that black people can't get voter ID, so it stops them from being able to vote. Like that's like the left mindset. And then there's a video online if you if you go and watch like some I think he's like a conservative commentator or whatever, content creator. He goes and asks people who live in the communities that they're saying they can't get voter ID. And like, he asks all these people of color, do you have an ID? Like, do you know how to get like a an ID to vote? And they're all like offended that this guy is asking them if they know how to get ID. Of course they do. But he's like, does it offend you that the left thinks you can't do this? Daddy dabs. Okay. So just so you guys know, if you're new to here, I don't use swear words. So if I read your comments and it has a swear word, I'm just going to skip the swear word. But Daddy says, if you blindly put your faith in your government, you're already bad word. And I think as Canadians, we are more trusting of our government than some of the other countries, because if we look back on history, although there's been times where governments completely screwed over the population, residential school would be a perfect example of that, but like in recent time, in current generation, like in the last like 20-30 years, government has kind of, or at least it seemed like they were trustworthy, although I'm finding out now a lot of things probably weren't what I thought it was. But like, remember when the Harper government was in, like the biggest scandal of the year was a $16 glass of orange juice. And now you're looking at like the green slush funds where it's millions and millions, billions of dollars just go missing, or the SNC-Lavalin. Like there's been so many scandals with the Liberal government, like blackface Trudeau, like there's been so many scandals after scandals after scandals, corruption after corruption, and they're just getting away with it. So, but in the past, generally, Canadians don't have this ultimate distrust of government that some of the other countries that have like this history, well-known history of corruption. So we tend to believe, like, it's almost like unless a government starts talking about publicly, or mainstream media pushes the story over and over again, like Canadians are like blindly believe that we have a trustworthy government. I don't think we do, because there's been so many scandals and they've gotten away with it. Nobody's gone to jail. There's been like the Arrive Can app, that somebody should have gone to jail over that. David says, true, Daddy. We just want the government to leave us alone. And that's the thing. I was never political. I didn't like politics. I was not a political person until like COVID. When government told me who I could and couldn't have over for supper, That was like, that's government coming into your home telling you how you can live your life. And that was like, I'm done. That's it. I'm going to do everything I can to get the power back to the people so that the people have the ultimate say into their volunteer mod. Tracy, you want to be a moderator? I don't even know how to do that. You know what? It's okay. Let them comment. Like I said, it helps my algorithm. But R is it SRCX? Like all caps? Like, gosh, buddy. When I think somebody who writes in all caps, I just think of someone still sitting in their like mom's basement that don't really have a voice in the world, and the only place they have a voice is on the internet. So therefore, they must like write all caps so that people hear them. That's what I think from a profiling aspect. How accurate do you guys think I am? The more comment there is. Okay, so I see now. There is quite a few. Okay, Chris Johnson asked a really good question. If someone wants to get involved with politics, where do you start? First, get a party membership. So there's different influence you can have when you have a party membership. You can join the board of your MP. So provincially and federally is a little bit different, but every MP has a board. So it's called the EDA, so Electoral District Association. So each MP will have a board. Usually it's between 20 and 30 members of that board. You can become a member if you contact your MP and say you're interested. If you show up, I think they have like an annual general meeting where they elect board members. You can show up there. Most of the time, it's just people who show up. Like there's no like contest because there's not enough people who want to volunteer on that. That would be like your biggest thing. You meet with your MP, like I think once a month or once every 2 months. So you get to have their ear, they get to know you, you get to build a relationship. But there's other things you can do on that board. You can submit policy forward to the party at their annual general meeting where they get to vote on specific policy. So if you write a policy, it goes to like a committee and stuff, your EDA will submit it forward, and then it gets put on, I guess, a ballot, a policy ballot. I'm not getting the term properly right, and then I think it's once a year, they have the annual general meeting, or might be once every 2 years. Here, let me see. I just want to make sure I get accurate information. How often have an AGM? I want to get it correct. Oops, no, I meant the Conservative Party of Canada. They call it the National Convention, which serves as the equivalent of annual general meeting. So it's every 2 years federally. I think it's the same provincially with Saskatchewan. I don't know, Chris, where you're from. But so you put policy forward, you show up at the national convention, you need to be a delegate. So how you become a delegate, you tell the ADA you're interested. Most of the time it's board members who are delegates. So people from the board get picked to be sent to the national convention. And then you get to vote on which direction the party's going to go. Now, there's been times in the past where the party didn't follow through with what the convention voted on. Like Erin O'Toole is a classic example of that. But if you organize the membership, that's when you can come together like they did and boot out O'Toole and elect a leader that will push the party priorities forward. So you can also, if there's a lot of corruption in the party, things, you can also get policies changed in the Constitution. So I know a lot of people were trying to change how there's a few times where the Conservative Party kind of had their picked candidate and they kind of kibosh or did some almost corrupt thing to stop a potential candidate from running. So policy or constitution to the party amendments would put forward to change that. So that's federally. So get a membership to a political party so you can have more of a say, join a board, and get also subscribe to your MP to get informed as to what's happening. Provincially, the MLAs, I'm going to give Saskatchewan for an example, but in some provinces it might be MPP or it might be a little bit different constitution. But in Saskatchewan, MLAs also have a board, but it's not as many members. So I would say get a party membership, show up at the AGM. In Saskatchewan, you don't need to be a delegate. You just need to have a party membership and buy a ticket to the AGM or whatever they call it. Is it AGM for Saskatchewan? What about Saskatchewan provincially? See what Grok says. No. Sask party. So the Saskatchewan one has annually. So usually in the fall. So you just get a ticket, but I'm trying to remember how much the tickets were. I haven't been to one, but I am going to be going to the one this fall. So yeah, join the board. Go to the each MLA's board has an annual general meeting. Go to those, and you get an opportunity to talk to your MLA. Barbara Ball. Okay, yeah, that was a lot. And there's probably a way I can. It's clear that SRCX is trying to disrupt the conversations by doing crazy. Look, buddy, you're looking a little bit unhinged. Angie says on Facebook, I love how Pierre explained why he chose not to get clearance. I've heard so many people holding that against him, and I've tried to explain it is a good thing. It is. Okay, so Chris asked, so Nadine, based on what you're saying, how does someone like me get involved in politics to stop things like COVID from happening again? Exactly how I've said. So I'll give you an example for Saskatchewan. If you join the board of your MLA and other people like you who, let's say, don't want to see mandates, I'll feature that question again. If people like you don't want to see mandates again, let's say you have majority of the board delegates that join the board. If mandates were to come back and you guys have majority, you can go to the leader of the party and say, hey, we don't want mandates. There's all of us who don't want mandates. Don't put mandates, or we're going to hold an emergency AGM, which if you have majority, you need 10 MLAs or 10 delegates of MLA boards to hold an emergency meeting. You can do a leadership review on that emergency meeting and you can boot out the leader. So you need, I think in Saskatchewan, there's 61 riding. So you would need half of that plus this AGM would have like the premier, a few position within, I think 5 positions. So you need half plus the majority of the 5. So, but yeah, so that would be one of the ways. Another way you can organize grassroots people and form an organization that becomes as big as the one I founded, and then it becomes political pressure. If there was to be mandates to come back, you can organize grassroots so easily. So everyone is saying accurate. That must be of me explaining what I think this gentleman. It seems he's left. I guess I was too close to the truth, eh? David Carr says racism. Remember Liberal MP Chandra Arya, I don't know, it's area in Nepean, who was elected in office from October to March, now was kicked out. Which party is the most racist? I know they kicked out Ruby Dalla too, which I had on my show. Genghis says, David, he couldn't speak French. Darcy says the left is self-destructive. Calm over. Chris says Blanchett won the debate. You know what? He did really good. He had a few zingers. I'm glad he was there to do it. I think Pierre Poilievre would have loved to do that, but I think they told him, hey, hold back. Sorry, I just realized I'm still on the comment there. How do I? Okay, there you go. I think they told Pierre, hold back. You don't want to seem too much like a bulldog. Okay, there's so many comments. I'm going to head out. We could keep chatting if okay, wait. I'm going to read a few more. Which one was it? I'm really far back, yes, in the comments. Sorry. Gosh darn it. Joe, you have a funny comment. But I won't read it. But I love what I find it funny what you put just before Mark. Because they called, okay, I will read it because it's kind of a little bit funny. Remember how they used to call Trudeau Turdo? And now they call, I guess, Mark Skid Mark. Their backup WEF member didn't make the cut. She's scheduled to be destroying the country as a minister if Carney wins consolation prize. Darcy says, definitely not a fan of oil. PP had a great answer on India. Get them off coal. Oh, I didn't hear. I didn't listen to the whole debate. I'm gonna go back, probably listen. Jonathan says, I heard your husband is really handsome. He is. I'm gonna show you guys a photo. I like gushing over him. Oh, wait, is that my husband saying that? It is. My husband's on YouTube. I was like, I thought it was Jonathan Grand saying that, but no, it's my husband. He's probably wondering, why are you still on here, Nadine? He wants to spend time with me. But he is handsome. I want to show you guys how much he looks like JD Vance. He's JD Vance. He could be his stunt double. I got to bring it up. It's taking forever to load. I don't know why. I can hear you watching over there. Turn it down. I know. You said how I hear her husband's really handsome. But yeah, I'll probably get going. Mr. Ness, is that you? That was John. Do you want to come say hi, love? I'll show you guys a quick photo. He does look just like JD Vance. Yeah. Let's see if it zooms in. Give me a sec. Yeah, that's him. See? But anyways, that's so funny. He's watching. Chris, which province are you in? Because it's different with each provinces. I'm gonna play that clip next episode about him explaining exporting our clean resources. Yeah, if anyone's against like climate change and and wanting to reduce the amount of pollution we have in the world, they should be pro Canadian oil and gas, because if we could get our especially our natural gas to market, it would close, probably they could get our natural gas instead of like coal plants. Yeah, the We Charity, two brothers got 900 million taxpayer money, while you know who got the kickbacks. Yeah, I remember that. I kind of forgot about that. Oh wow, there's so much comments. Kelly says, bring him in. David says, baby 5 en route. We we will be trying for a 5th soon. David says he is JD. We will be trying for a 5th probably. We're kind of talking about it, and we're just waiting for a nanny to come back. Chris is in Alberta. So in Alberta, there's a ton of organization that kind of work in kind of influencing. You've got Take Back Alberta. There's like the the Prosperity Project, Alberta Prosperity Project. There's quite a few there. David says Eve is the shining star in the debate. Brian Thomas, do you think he's going to win the election? Because you're talking wins. Carney wins for sure. This is what Brian says. If you're from Alberta, you might want that. A lot of Albertans want Mark Carney to win so that the separation goes way up and Alberta separates. So I'm wondering if you're one of those. Blanchett took Carney to task over his assets. It was embarrassing. Brian's in Toronto. So maybe you do want Alberta to separate. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Toronto could want that. Or are you a conservative, Brian, or are you a liberal? There's like a little bit of a glitch. Anyways, this episode was way longer than I thought. I'm going to go. It's been 2 hours, but it was really fun chatting with you guys, even the trolls. That I actually enjoy this even more. Chris says, I'm okay with Alberta separating, but I'm even more for the Canada that I used to know. I know. I totally know what you mean. David says, Nadine and Jonathan, I will pray for quadruplets for this go round for you too. Why waste 9 months times 5 when you can do it all in? I already have 4 kids, David, and I don't want 4. Please don't pray for quadruplet. I don't want one more. If we have that many, we'll need to get like a Ford, like what's it called? Like I call it the Hutterite van. I have Hutterite friends, so. Again, nice to meet you. Thanks for the welcome. Come back on. We have a crew, Genghis, that it's like the same people over and over again. Who are we missing? Heather's not watching. It's probably too late. That's why it went a lot later than I thought. Heather wasn't here tonight. But we have like regulars that come. Maria, David, Jonathan, and his wife, Amanda, they come. Oh, Heather's here. I didn't know you were here. Who are we missing? Neil is missing. Okay, I gotta go. I keep getting distracted by the comments. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Remember, Tuesday. Oh, Squirrel Nuts is there too. But you guys don't see Squirrel Nuts because she, I can't remember if it's she. I know that I know who it is, but I can't remember who it is. But yeah, I will go. I will be back on Tuesday. And happy Easter. And hope you get to spend a lot of time with family. See you guys.